Hello, everyone, and welcome to another one of our ranking videos where we basically go through whatever Grand Tour that's happened. Of course, it's the Giro d'Italia 2023, and we basically put it into a tier list where we have a number of different tiers and we have all the different teams. Today, I'm joined by the Echelon Cycling Podcast gang. Of course, we're all here, Patrick and Ewan as well. So, it's quite self-explanatory now. We wasted a lot of time explaining what it is. And let's just get on with it. And let's start with Bahrain Victorious. Guys, Pro Cycling Stats have them as the second team, 2 wins as well, and fourth for Damiano Caruso. Where would you kind of put their Giro d'Italia this year?
I'm saying it's going to be a minimum of high achievers. I feel like if it's insatisfied, that is a bit disrespectful. But I'm willing to negotiate between the top two tiers.
I totally agree. I think high achievers, if Caruso got a podium, then it would be legendary. Or if they got two riders in top 10, it would be legendary, which they could have done with Buitrago or with Jack Haig. But they missed that mark. So I think for Bahrain, given their budget as well, we're basing these based on these teams' normal performances, their budgets, the roster that they brought here. I think high achievers is a comfortable position for them.
Yeah, I think we're all fairly agreed about that. So that was a bit boring. But Corotech, first ever Giro d'Italia for them. They have been put second to last on the Pro Cycling Stats page. But how do you feel, Corotech? They've been up there in the breakaways, almost won a stage as well. But what do you think they warrant? We'll go with Ewan first, because Ewan's probably been the one talking most about Corotech at this year's Giro.
I would take a bullet for Veliko Stojnic of Corotech. That man, he's been placed on my map during this race. And I think everyone from that team has been in the breakaway throughout this race. I mean, literally everybody. They got a couple of top 10s. Dalla Valle was up there in a sprint. Karol Wacek was up there on a mountain stage. Good enough. And they were spoken about an awful lot.
I was going to say room for improvement, but
Really? First
yeah.
Giro. Shame about Conti.
Yeah, I guess you are kind of right. In terms of the people that they brought, and what they got out of that roster, it is actually satisfactory. Yeah, so I can see your point.
Right. Next team is a team that, well, they've had really good Giros in the past, courtesy of Dan Martin. But Derek Geest kind of stole the show for them. A number of top twos. They were up there in both the points classification and the mountains classification as well. Where do you guys kind of think the Pro Continental team? Remember that, not the World Tour team anymore.
Israel, I would honestly say, I think they were high achievers. And I'm not sure if that's just because of the Derek G effect, to be honest with you. But there was also Frigo, there was Sebastian Berwick in there as well, who also got top threes. And I'm like,
But
they
they
didn't get the
didn't win.
stage win, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of exposure there, which they got. I think there was a lot of talk about Israel during this race, and I think that's quite a good thing. Although you could say that, they were a World Tour team and now they're Pro Conti, so actually they should be doing better. So I think it's between high achievers and satisfied. Considering that we didn't get a win with G, they would probably say satisfied. But if you asked Israel as a personal opinion,
I usually refrain from giving any positivity to this squad. Derek G was fantastic, up there in a number of classifications, the Ciclamino, the Maglia Azzurra, the Fuga, the Intermediate Sprint Prize, as well as the Super Combative Prize, which he did take in the end. I actually like this Israel performance. Is it a high achiever performance? You know what? I'm going to be complimentary. I'm going to buy myself some positivity with this squad before I level out my opinions later at this season at the Tour de France. I'm buying myself some brownie points here. But I think Israel Premier Tech were high achievers.
You thought you would be saying that.
nobody did.
All right, we'll have to go for a vote then. I'm going for satisfied. Patrick, you're the split.
I was leaning towards high achievers, so I'll vote for high achievers.
Oh, okay. First movement. Well,
the comment section says.
Yeah, exactly. Next, moving to Bora Hansgrohe, the winners of last year's Giro d'Italia. Ninth with, not jokingly, Lennart Kemna and 2 stage wins, courtesy of Nico Dens. How have you thought that Bora Hansgrohe's Giro d'Italia has been?
It's a strange one because it is a weird one where I feel like it's between high achievers and satisfied. Well, I don't know, can it be high achievers? It's only high achievers because of possibly Nico Dens' 2 wins. Getting 2 stage wins in a Grand Tour is a pretty big deal. But at the end of the day, they did lose Vlasov. I'm not sure if you're still feeling the effects about you, but Yeah, I don't know. Ninth with Lenny was decent, but we didn't really get the kind of glitz and glam Lenny of last year of 2022, where he was in the breaks and stuff. I feel like he was more entertaining there, whereas he was literally just Mr. Consistent around like 15th to 30th place all the time. So for me, even though they got 2 stage wins, I'm going to go with satisfied. I think they would have wanted more from GC, ideally from Vlasov, but he wasn't there. But that's out of their control.
Agreed. I think satisfied. I know, like, we often overlook Bora. I feel like Bora in general have been really overlooked in this race. Kemna getting top 10 wasn't really that widely covered. I think it's where they should be. This is a top level squad verging on super team.
I think Kemna, for him, this is a big boost, despite not getting the top echelons of the race. But yeah, moving on, EF Education Easy Post, another team that lost one of the big guns in terms of Rigoberto Oran. And I mean, Bettiol didn't really achieve anything. Manus Court took a stage win. One more stage winner, of course. Ben Healy almost won the Mountains
I'm
jersey
taking
as
that
well.
personally. Sorry.
What? That Bettiol didn't achieve anything.
Bettiol didn't achieve anything.
He started an argument.
He was that third place in a day. Like, be real. Be respectful of his position here.
No stage win. That's what counts.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 stage wins is what they would have wanted. Breakaways, they
I
were
agree.
there.
Satisfied. But even if Carthy was still there and he finished 8th in GC or whatever, I'd still be putting in satisfied, to be honest
He
with you.
wishes he'd finish eighth. Like, his legs were mid at this Giro. Sorry. Hugh Carthy does not light my fire.
But Healy getting a win, Court Nielsen getting the win, and also fulfilling the trifecta as a part of that, which is like a little bonus. So it is just quite satisfactory. It's nothing particularly extravagant by EF standards, to be honest.
They live in satisfied for the Giros mostly. But I mean, anyway, moving on to a team that didn't have a great Giro to tire, Intermarché Circus Wanty, highest 27th in GC. Not really anything of note in terms of stages. And what do you guys think of them?
They are in the bottom tier. I am sorry. There were some flashes. Arnie Mali had some decent flashes in the sprints. We also had like Bonifacio up there, which was like okay. But yeah, like Lorenzo Rota wasn't really hitting the mark, and I'm kind of surprised. I don't know, Intermarché didn't do more. It's a bit of a shame, but if they weren't a team which I was like noticing a lot of during the race, which perfectly fulfills the criteria of were they even here. That's the perfect category for them, in my opinion. But I'm willing to be proven wrong.
Intermarché should have sent a better squad. They could have sent a better squad to this race. They have Ugo Page, Hedebataisen, a bunch of younger sprinters who probably won't make the Tour de France squad, who probably should have been here. They have a number of sort of solid climbers who, not thinking off the top of my head, but like you can fill out a pretty good Giro start list here with this squad. They didn't send that. They sent a pretty mid squad and they got pretty mid performances. Arne Marit was good in the sprints. Simone Petli was outfoxed by 2 Pro Conti riders, who were both far less experienced than he was. Laurens Aus was in the breakaway a lot. Nicola Bonifacio was in top 10 a couple times. But to be honest, this is a performance we would have expected from a Pro Continental squad. We regressed on the Intermarché narrative, to be honest, at this Giro.
Yeah, comparing it to last year's is night and day.
And even the year before, with
yeah.
and a bunch of other successes.
No, yeah, I mean, sending a Rui Costa here would have been quite nice. I think he would have been a bit more. But Team Arkea Samsic, next team here, 17th, the highest on the GC. Warren Barguil battling through the Giro. And yeah, where would you put them? I want to say, were they even here?
I was going to say maybe room for improvement, but then I thought the argument that I gave for Intermarché is the same argument I would use for Arkea. So therefore, I can't say that Arkea is better. Although Wawa was more noticeable during the race compared to other like Intermarché riders. You know, he was up there, like you know, he was on the TV screen quite a bit. They lost Decker quite early on. I feel like there was more to come from him, which was a shame. Outside of like that one sprint from Decker on stage 2 and Wawa occasionally being in the break, there was nothing going on.
Arkea for me, yeah, I think what they even.
But anyway, moving on to another team that probably was a bit lackluster, Green Project, the Pro Continental team. Many people were hoping that the African Continental champion would do something here, Henok Malubran. But yeah, what have you thought of Green Project? I'm already gonna say, were they even here?
Yeah, literally. Henok was in that break, which finished up the Gran Sasso d'Italia as well, which was won from a breakaway. Kind of trick in a way, but it's like outside of that, what were they? What are they doing here?
I'm tempted to say room for improvement because this squad start list nowadays is really quite poor. But I don't know whether that's too generous because Korotek are unsatisfied and they only got a second place with Vácek. Pipifiori finished first, Tonelli fourth.
It was their first Giro, whereas Korotek have
Yeah,
been here.
true.
Well, not
True.
Korotek, Green
Okay.
Project have been here.
Let's humble them.
We're being nice.
Slammed. Roasted.
But another Italian Pro Continental team, Iolo Cometa, and both of you are quite big fans of them, taking that stage win with David Baies almost taking the blue jersey as well.
It was a good performance. Getting a stage win as a Pro Conti team is really good, you know. I mean, and if you ask Contador, he's saying legendary in this ranking right now. I mean, that video of him like slamming his fist into the table, seeing Davide Baies winning.
Well, after their first Giro, I feel like expectations are maybe a little bit inflated because Fortunato got top 15 and a stage win. And from there, I think our expectations were sky high. So I don't know whether we're being harsh by saying satisfied, but they didn't win any sort of smaller prizes, no intermediate sprints prize, no Fuga prize, no super combative prize. They've won those both before in the past. So, but I'm not taking anything away from David Baies' a stage win, but if you got the blue jersey, brilliant, high achievers.
Yeah, it was a shame about the jersey. Looks like he was really at his limit towards the end of the race. But yeah, nevertheless, moving on to Team DSM, former winners of the Giro d'Italia, of course, but somewhat of a shadow of themselves. And best in GC 31st, and that one victory with Alberto Dainese.
Best in GC 31st?
Yeah.
Andreas
no,
was in top 10.
Eighth. I looked at track. Sorry, DSM. Yeah.
On that note, I'm going to stand up for them. I'm going to say this is a high achievers performance. A top 10 in GC, pink jersey stint, and a stage win. High achievers. DSM, they brought an incredibly young squad without a real standout star. I think this is a good position for them.
I agree, actually.
Yeah, I was going to try and provide the reason for satisfied, but no, you are right. Letnesund was a breakout performance for them this year. Dainese winning that sprint. It was a sprint field which had a bit of it had taken a sucker punch by that point in the Giro, but a win's a win. You know, you can't take it away from him. He did the same last year as well. He took a stage win last year. So I can see what you mean. High achievers, if they tick all the boxes of what they probably wanted to achieve going into this race. So yeah, I can't disagree with you.
Moving on to Alpecin de Koenig and Caden Groves taking a victory, of course, for them. I don't know how you guys feel about them, but I almost want to say room for improvement.
I was thinking the same. Yeah, Groves leaving didn't help their cause at all. I think that, you know, Oldani was quite good as well, but it was a team which was very centered around Caden Groves and his success. They didn't really have the mountain breakaway riders here either to sort of compensate for that. So it could be satisfied as well, though. Yeah, I'm between those two. But yeah, what do you reckon, Ewan?
Well, the thing is, half that team was wiped out pretty early on, so they were down to 4 men. Best sprinters trained. They got a stage win with Groves. They probably could have got more if the team was all together. So I don't really know where to put them. They probably should have sent someone more for the breakaway wildcards. Aldani was decent in the breakaways, but nowhere near a stage win. Yeah, I think room for improvement, to be honest.
Well, next team we have is Movistar, and they have, of course, also won this race before, and they had somewhat of a lackluster Giro d'Italia, you would say, based on their previous races. They came with Gaviria, Rubio, the two Colombians, 11th overall with Rubio, and taking a stage win as well, the one where Thibaut Pinot was quite angry. Yeah, where would you put Movistar for this year's Giro?
I want to say satisfied because of the stage win. You could probably argue room for improvement as well, though, considering that Movistar's a team which, considering how good they've been in Grand Tours in the past, in recent years, perhaps should be doing better. But considering the team that they brought, which is, let's face it, a Gaviria who hasn't really been firing in a while, Rubio was a bit of an unknown, to be honest with you. This was a very solid performance from him. I'll go with satisfied because, quite frankly, the rest of the squad was just a bit meh, and I wasn't really expecting much from them. So I reckon they're quite down the middle.
Beggars can't be choosers. They haven't had a stage win in the Giro for a while. Congratulations, Movistar. We're really proud of you.
Moving on to Ineos Grenadiers, and so close to winning the race, of course. 8 days in the Maglia Rosa, and second with Geraint Thomas. Also, 2 other riders in the top 10 as well, Arendsman and De Plus. Like, Ineos have been a really strong unit, and Theo Gegenhardt leaving the race, Ghana, etc. So, but it is Ineos Grenadiers.
I'm gonna say high achievers. For me, that's my take on it. If they won it though, would I put them in legendary? I don't know, because I almost would have expected them to be that good.
No stage
Yeah,
wins.
that's true. But yeah, like you say, Rensman and De Plus being up there, that's a really strong performance as a team. But I'm apprehensive to say a legendary when they haven't won a stage or the GC. They came second. So I'm just going to go high achievers, I think, just because of that good performance by those three riders in the top 10.
Agreed. This is the second Giro in a row where they've been up there in GC but haven't won a stage. And I think in order to get into that top bracket, you need a stage win, and they just don't have that. Yeah, 3 guys in top 10. Congrats. It's a good achievement, but ask me in 10 years' time, did Laurens de Plus finish in top 10 in GC at the Giro 2023? I'm probably not going to know. Like,
I think you will, because you like Laurens de Plus quite a lot.
okay, maybe that was a bad example, but put a gun to my head in the year 2040 and hold me a ransom and ask me, where did Taman Aronson finish in this Giro? I wouldn't be able to tell you, but I would be able to tell you if Geraint Thomas won a stage. So, yeah, high achievers it is.
Well, moving on to someone who probably isn't going to be in high achievers. They were bottom ranked in terms of the pro cycling stats, Cofidis World Tour team. Let's just remind ourselves of that as well. And Thomas Champion, kind of the only rider stealing headlines to some respect. Well, not even headlines.
Yeah, this was an absolutely whack team. And there was like no reason for them to be here. I had high hopes for Consonni. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a Consonni fan. I think that he's quite versatile as a sprinter. He's quite good at climbing, but he was so not Consonni that I've been used to seeing. And yeah, outside of him, I couldn't even tell you 4 people on their start list. Were they even here? I honestly couldn't even tell you.
I'm scared of what they're going to bring in the Tour de France, because they're going to give us zilch. They're going to give us dust. Thomas Champion got the Fugger prize. Yeah, I love that prize, but there are many asterisks. That's it. Thomas Champion was the only rider from this squad that we were talking about. It's just bland, beige, everything. Well,
yeah. Moving on from one French World Tour team to another, AG2R Citroën taking a stage win with Aurélien Panepatre and finishing inside top 15 as well with him. Both of you big fans of him. And where would you put AG2R's performance this year? Let's go with Ewan first.
I'm satisfied. Stage win, top 15 in GC. That's what APP would have wanted.
Satisfied, I think makes a lot of sense. Just because, yeah, I think he was thinking top 15, and then a stage win would be nice. I think it was just a nice performance from AG2R. Nothing too fancy, but just kind of there was a nice little memorable moment in there. So a perfectly satisfactory performance from them. And I'm a big APP fan, so I'm having to be restrained here and not saying legendary.
But moving on from another French World team to another French World Tour team, the shuffling really wasn't that great. But Groupama FDJ, of course, they were looking quite interesting at this year's Giro d'Italia, 5th place overall, 2 days in that jersey. Thibaut Pinot stealing the show as well, but Bruma and Amarai having a bit of a cameo in the Maglia Rosa. So yeah, what do you guys think of this team?
I'm going to jump the gun first at high achiever. Excellent performance from Pinot. Great performance from Bruna Amarai. Given that the Tour de France is their number one objective, given that they are a French team, they have done well at the Giro. It has taken a long time for a French team to really get big success at the Giro. And Groupama Français déjà, remember the name, they've done it. They sealed the deal. They are a great World Tour team this year, and I'm so happy with them.
Kind of have them between high achievers and satisfied. If Pinot hadn't won
5th place in GC and then the blue jersey.
Yeah. But I'm saying that if Pinot hadn't have won that jersey,
yeah, okay,
it would be satisfied. But because he won the jersey, I'm going with high achievers.
Okay, fair enough. Astana is next. Another team that's kind of a shell of its former past at a Giro d'Italia. Did take a stage win, but yeah, what have you guys thought of Astana?
I guess my expectations were quite low coming into this. The fact that they actually got a stage win, which there was quite a lot of happiness around Cav winning. But saying that, the rest of the team, I was just a bit like, what's going on here? It did have some promise with the likes of a Velasco and a Scaroni and stuff, but nobody really hit the mark. Or like a Joe Dombrowski, I kind of thought maybe might do something. The fact that they got a stage win is making me want to say satisfied.
I mean,
it could be lower.
It's very satisfying. Yeah, expectations Expectations were low. I mean, that stage win with Cavendish, in terms of traction from a stage, in terms of traffic and social media engagement, that's probably done them wonders. They can probably pay off that contract very soon, because that was like one of the biggest hits of the Giro, was that Cavendish stage win. So for them, in terms of getting a high profile win, they certainly got it. But elsewhere in this Giro, snooze fest.
Actually, I think they got more exposure from Cavendish retiring on the rest day. It was quite big, those numbers on Twitter, etc.
That wasn't about the racing, though.
No, that's true. But it was still in the race. But yeah, obviously
that's why they signed him, purely so that they could sign him so he could do this big retirement thing. So then all the sad pictures of Cavendish, I'm retiring, will be him wearing a Monster Energy hat and his Astana Kazakhstan with a Q t-shirt.
But anyway, moving on to the team that has been placed number 1 for Pro Cycling Stats, and it's UAE Team Emirates, of course, taking the podium with Joao Almeida, friend of the channel, a white jersey as well. Stage wins all across the board almost. And yeah, what have you guys thought of these guys?
This is going to be our first legendary performance, and I'm not having anything else other than that. 3 stage wins, and Zhao getting his like first Grand Tour stage win. That was a lovely moment to see as well. The white jersey finished on the podium for the first time in a Grand Tour. UAE have been a team which, let's face it, Zhao was never expected to win here. That was never a thing which people were really realistically toying with. Some people were, but I feel like it was a bit of a joke. But, you know, they're a team which is so focused around Pogacar that, you know, they've been wanting to diversify and say, we want to try and do well in the other Grand Tours with not just Pogacar, and Zhao has done exactly that. So chapeau to UAE. I think they did a cracking job this Giro.
UAE took me to the imperial heights of my inner realm. They were fantastic in this race. 3 stage wins on a sprint stage, a mountain stage, and a hill stage. It's like it's Pro Cycling Manager here. It's like they're winning on all different types of terrain. It's like a tick sheet of what you want to do at a Grand Tour. Done. Legendary. No debate.
Moving on to Soudal Quickstep, we were kind of seeing them as the big favourites for the win with Remco Evenepoel. That fairy tale turned into a bit of a nightmare. And I mean, still 2 stage wins with Remco Evenepoel, Van Wilde as well, the highest placed rider. 2 riders, him and Peter Seri, the only ones, but 12th place for Van Wilde. Yeah, what would you guys say? I would kind of say satisfied.
For the context, I would say were they even here, because only 2 of their riders finished this race. But I guess to respect the performances across the board, satisfied. What we got from Remco for the 9 days he was at the Giro is what we expected from Remco. We'll be honest. And what we got from Ilan van Wilde is what we thought we would get from Ilan van Wilde if he was chasing his own chances in GC. I think that's fair from the 2 phases of this race, when it was Remco and then the Ilan van Wilde experience. I think we got what he expected from both.
Yeah. For us, I think they can't be high achievers because they weren't. And they can't be in room for improvement because what were they'd improve in what? Not getting COVID. It kind of feels a bit
wearing masks and not taking helicopters down mountains.
There you go. That's it. They did bring a bit of social media kind of banter from that, but you know, it kind of feels then a bit ridiculous to put them in room for improvement. So therefore, they must land in satisfied. That's just the logical way that this is going.
Jake Ayula here with top 10 with Eddie Dunbar, stage win with Michael Matthews and Filippo Zanna, the Italian national champion. Yeah, what do you guys think here? I'm kind of want to put them in high achievers.
I want to say high achievers, because I think it was definitely a high achieving performance from Jayco, all things considered. Let's face it, if you would like to compare it like in previous years, if you were to like, oh, you know, you're going to get 2 stage wins in a top 10 at GC, Jayco would be like, absolutely, because every time we send Simon Yates to any kind of race, he just falls apart. So therefore, actually having somebody up there in the top 10 in GC who's been, let's face it, a very consistent rider as Eddie Dunbar been this year. And I think that they did a really good job. Part of me was thinking about saying legendary, but I'm like, no, let's not go too far. If Eddie Dunbar finished in 4th, I would have said that was borderline legendary performance from Jayco, considering that they're not really a team who's very well renowned for doing that great in GC nowadays.
It's good to see this team getting success with riders who aren't Dylan Groenewegen and Simon Yates. With the exception of Matteo Sobrera's time trial win last year, that team has been sort of duopolized by those two over the past 12 months. And it's good to see Pippo Zana and Eddie Dunbar come out of that shadow and really give this Giro a good run. Yes, Michael Matthews took a stage win, a bit of an old guy, a bit of a snooze fest, but at the same time, he got that stage win against some competitive competition. I think it's a high achieving race for them. They'll probably do better at the Tour de France with the Groenewegen Yates setup, but for now, it's good.
Moving on to Trek Segafredo, of course, there was a lot of talk about Mads Pedersen. Tom Scoinch was also out there in the breakaways as well. That was the team that finished 31st on the GC. Apologies again, DSM. But yeah, it's a very Trek Segafredo performance, this.
Part of me is wanting to say room for improvement. Seems a bit harsh.
But they had Bauke Mollema as well, so...
But Mollema did absolutely jack
exactly,
shit.
that's what I mean. So, like...
Oh, right. I know they lost Pedersen, which was it was a hit. But then again, Soudal lost Remco. I put them in satisfied. So is it a bit harsh to put Trek in room for improvement? For the sake of playing devil's advocate, I will say room for improvement.
I actually agree. Yeah, I think we
really.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say satisfied.
Mads Pedersen was tipped to win every stage, it seemed, for the first week and a half of this race, and he only won one. Yes, I know that might seem harsh given that we inflated the rankings of some other riders who only won one stage as well, but given the hype and the fact that he had a pretty decent train coming into this, Tom Scoinch in the breakaway missed the mark. Other riders as well in the breakaway missed the mark. You know, this is it's a team you maybe would expect maybe 2 stage wins from at this race. Maybe that's harsh. Grill me in the comment section.
I'm sure they will.
But anyways, finishing with the Giro d'Italia champions, Primož Roglic. We talked so much about their squad coming into the Giro on the Echelon Cycling podcast. We completely destroyed their team and said they were bringing too many neo-pros. But I mean, yeah, winning the Giro d'Italia on the final day or the penultimate day of the race. Primož Roglic, incredible riding. Sepp Kuss, rider of the Giro d'Italia, as we said over in the Echelon Cycling podcast, legendary, I guess.
I'm tempted to say high achievers, which will make people automatically reach for the keyboard. But hear me out. UAE, I know they didn't win, but as a team, a collective, they got success outside of their main GC leader. Jumbo were completely in this Roglic bubble. And Roglic won one stage in like the controlled environment of a TT. Yes, I know that he did win, but the rest of the team was just absent. I know Sepp was helping him out, but nobody was given their own freedom to do anything. I feel like as a team they were quite just at any breakaway stage. I didn't see anything of them unless they were at the front of the peloton or something. I just feel like it was a very clinical performance from Jumbo, which we're very used to seeing. But I preferred UAE's flair and going into the breakaway and getting success in that sense. And I don't know. I think that I put UAE's performance above Jumbo, to be honest.
You lay out a convincing argument.
Yeah.
I mean, I could sit all day thinking about this and not make a decision. Somebody else make the call.
Oh, I don't know now. Because yeah, Patrick really threw in the wrench there in the last minute. Yeah.
Sorry. It's all about critical thinking.
Yeah, but like it's also like the budget. We're talking about the budget, their achievement, the Tour de France team, they were expected to win this. So I mean,
yeah, was Roglic expected to win by a larger margin than just 14 seconds though over Geraint Thomas? Was he expected to win in a more dominant fashion? In the mountains, he was dropped by G at one point, and he gained like 2 seconds on him on that stage, which Boitlago won. Like 3 seconds. Oh, sorry.
Oh my God, you're throwing them further down in my mind now. Now I'm thinking satisfied.
Roglic, to be honest with you, I know that, yeah, outside of a TC, people are going to get so heated about this, but Roglic's performance was not actually like amazing in this Giro. It was just above Geraint Thomas for a rider who we have previously put on the same pedestal as Jonas Vingegaard and Tadej Pogacar, who would have absolutely wiped the floor of this race. I'm saying high achievers.
Now I'm saying satisfied.
I'm happy to put that.
Satisfied? Whoa.
I went from legendary and then you opened your mouth and now I'm unsatisfied.
Well, yeah, I guess were they coming in? Oh, yeah, I know. You do make a good point, though, because if they were coming in thinking, well, could it be contesting for a victory against Remco in all reality, and they won, are they just satisfied with their performance? It wasn't actually above what people were expecting them to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Were they even here? Let's just keep going.
Yeah, I guess the fact that this was a Frankenstein team, the preparation was not great. Roglic still crashed. Yada yada. I'm gonna say high achievers. I think it's too controversial to put it in satisfied for a team that won the Grand Tour. They won the race.
It was a good story, which they kind of laid out, as Ewan was saying.
Hashtag velodrome, hashtag ride your dreams.
Yeah.
It's all setting out for the Tour de France.
Oh gosh. Don't bring that up again.
Great clip on the echelon about that.
I reckon I'm gonna say high achievers.
Right, we'll put it there. But yeah, that's basically it for this video of our ranking tier list of the Giro d'Italia 2023. Make sure to let us know down below what you think of our ranking, and make sure to check it out. Patrick over on I'll Do Cycling. With that, thank you very much for watching, and we will see you around.